ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of Awliyaullah, the friends and the allies of Allah. May Allah make us of those who are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we improve ourselves, we look and explore for qualities that will really take us to that level. One of them is reflection, to reflect. These days with the social media, with all kinds of distractions, we don't focus. We don't have the quality of thinking. People used to spend days, not only hours, days just pondering. The Prophet ﷺ used to go to Mecca before he became Prophet. For days he would meditate and think. This tadabbur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala invites us in the Holy Quran to reflect and ponder. At-tafakkur wa-tadabbur. Reflect, ponder and contemplate. Okay? And tadabbur is to look not only what you see, to consequences. What would happen later? And that's why tadabbur is actually looking at the actions and what they could lead. And also more than reflecting, and it is also conditioning the heart to be ready for the future. This is a quality of prophets and awliya. And ulama, when they give tafsir of the ayah in the Quran, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ, Allah says, don't they just think about the Quran and what it's talking about and the consequences of their actions and their behavior? لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. I revealed the Quran for you to reflect and ponder and look at the consequences. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Will they not contemplate the Quran? Do they have locks on their hearts? Undoubtedly, awliyaullah have no locks. And we ask ourselves, do we have that? How can we come out of this? How can we become better people who reflect and contemplate? It might sound kind of like weird to talk about this topic in our times because nobody has time. But we know that the key to success before any major achievement is reflection and thinking. Major businesses, major corporations, before they make any budgeting or any planning, they sit down, they go for retreats and think and reflect and look at the consequences and the possibilities and the scenarios, and they discuss among themselves, and then they meditate and then pray over them. This is very, very important to do. So the tadabbur and tafakkur, reflection and contemplation and pondering, these three words, they fulfill the word tadabbur in the Quran. Basically, Allah mentioned it many times in the Quran. Surah Al-Nisa, Surah Al-Mu'minun, Surah Sad, Surah Muhammad. And of course, 15 times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions different instances where we need to think about things. He would give us a story and tell us for you to reflect, for you to see parallels and compare. Those stories are not meant just to be, for entertainment. There is actually a book called Morning Miracle, which actually tells you one of the things you do, some 6 things the Hal Errol is the author. He actually speaks about some rituals you do, very close to the Islamic principle, waking up, making wudu, praying, taking time, reflecting, before breakfast, all these things you do. These days people wake up and just go straight to, eat and then go to work. No, you need that morning reflection, and it's recommended not only in Islam, in many religions. So that's tadabbur, thinking. Just to say a brief story, Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, one time he was in the cemetery graveyard, and he started crying until his beard became wet. So the companion says, we remind you of Jannah and Nar, hell and heaven. You never cry, but now you cry. He says, I cry because the grave is the first station to Akhirah, and if Allah makes it easy for the person at this place here, then the rest is really easy. But if this is the beginning is hard, everything is hard. So he was looking at akhirah, as the beginning of happiness is at the grave, and the beginning of misfortune is at the grave. So rather than thinking later, he was thinking more about the grave, because grave is the end of it. Hadimul ladhat, the destroyer of lusts and desires, as the Prophet ﷺ called it. Akthiru min dhikri hadimul ladhat. He says, make sure you reflect on death as much as you can, because it will refrain you from doing wrong, from being unjust. That actually by itself, just reflecting about death. Try, my brothers and sisters, to do this ritual of morning after you pray after Fajr. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, reflect, maybe write some ideas. It will help you, inshallah. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون